What is up, everybody? CoreyMcEnroeSpeaks checking in again today. And as usual, I like to just jump right into it because something cool happened not too long ago, about a couple hours ago. One of my best students back in Tucson, one of my best hitting students back in Tucson, has a grandfather that I ended up being really close with. He was a very good Division I second baseman at the U of A. Ended up getting drafted in the Mets system. And then right when he was about to get into Major League Spring Training, blew out his knee. And then went home to Tucson, and at age like 26 or 27, coached a year in high school, won Coach of the Year that year in high school, and then got his knee fixed. The Cleveland Indians called him and said, would you be willing to come to Major League Spring Training for us? So at like 27 or 28 years old, which is just almost unheard of, he got another shot to play big league ball. And in that process, at Major League Spring Training, he blew out his other knee. So he just had unfortunate luck. However, he and I ended up becoming really close. I coached his grandson, who is really talented, and he's just old school baseball, man. My kind of guy. Just old school baseball, just fundamentally sound, seeing the ball deep, hitting it the other way. My kind of guy. And what is crazy about life is when I was going through my situation in the hospital with this, he was actually in the hospital, the exact same hospital, Tucson Medical Center. He was in the exact same hospital as me, going through an equally crazy situation. He had something going on in his intestines and his stomach, and he had to have his stomach open, just a whole bunch of really crazy stuff, just as gruesome of details as mine, and he's really been going through it. Two, although we're about maybe 35, almost 40 years in age difference, we were going through a very similar, almost life-threatening, close to life-threatening situation at the same time together earlier this year. So, the cool thing that happened was a few hours ago today, I was thinking about him, basically when I got up this morning, and I was like, man, I really want to talk to him. I hope he's doing well. But the last I heard is that he just got out of the hospital, and he's like not healthy enough to receive phone calls yet. And it was fairly early here in New York, which means it was even earlier in Tucson. So I didn't know if I could call him. So I just started doing my thing and doing dishes, and my phone rang, and I thought it was going to be like my brother or my aunt or whatever, something regular. But it was him. And it was him. I picked up the phone. I said, Terry, what's going on, man? It's so crazy that you're calling me, because I was just thinking of you. Literally, like today. I thought of this person today and said I wanted to talk to them, and they called me, and we were able to catch up. And if that's not like you're in the right place where you are, then I don't know what is, because not only did I get to catch up with this person who I love and care for, and we have so much to catch up on, but like this person, he makes me feel so good, and he says things to me like, Corey, your attitude towards this whole process is amazing, and he feels inspired by me, which is just the coolest thing in the world, because he's just one of the best people and athletes that I know. So the fact that my process through grieving of my loss has inspired him is really cool. And like I said, man, he's an old school baseball guy, old school athlete, old school kind of coach. And one of the main things that we talked about, because we discussed his grandson, who is one of my better students, and obviously his grandson, and his grandson is still pretty young right now, and we're excited to see what his process will be going forward. But one of the things that we landed on, and it's a point I'm going to drill in all the time, and it's a point that he and I have talked about before too, so it's not something new, but it's a point that is very important, and it's there's so many things in your life that you can't control. So much in your life that you cannot control. But what you can control is your attitude and how you respond to the things in your life that you can't control, and how you just respond to any situation. Is just, what is your attitude like? I have found so much throughout this process of now living with this. I meet people, and just the other day, this woman I met at the gas station, I was putting air in her tires, and usually I just put gas in her car, but she was about to drive to Virginia, and I was putting air in her tires, and she realized that I had a glove on my hand, and I took my glove off, and I showed her this, and we started talking about it, and she said, I would have never known that you had this happen to you, let alone this year, let alone just a few months ago, you lost the use of your hand because of your attitude every day that I see you. You're always happy and cheerful and positive. And I thanked her so much. I said, I thank you. And I feel lucky, because I shouldn't say it comes easy, but I've always been able to process things process things quickly. I think that's what made me a good baseball player, is I could read the pitch coming and process what was coming. So I do feel really lucky and blessed that I'm able to process this trauma the way that I am. But it is not something that I don't have to. I do have to work for it. I do. I do think even today I have thoughts of, like, man, what would it have been like if I never ran into that fence? What would it have been like if I never moved to Tucson and never played on that field in Tucson? You know, because I played on plenty of fields here in New York and never ran into a fence, but I ran into a fence when I played on a field in Tucson. So, yes, absolutely, the thoughts of regret come to my mind. And this is the funniest thing. This is the funniest thing about regret, is like sometimes regret will come to my mind and I'll be like, man, what if I just never played in that game that day? Or what if I never ran into the fence that day? Or what if I never even moved to Tucson? And then I would have really avoided this. But then I think, like, what if I learned piano in 7th grade? You know, like, there's so many things in your past that you could say, what if I did that instead of this? I wouldn't be here, but, like, that's not what happened. And I can't live every day of my life, or even a second of my life, thinking, what if I didn't do that and then I wouldn't have this? Because that is the most idiotic way of living. It doesn't even feel good. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I feel so much better saying, you know what? Life is what it is, and I am still alive and healthy, and I still have myself, and I still have this cat. And I'm still happy and smiling, and you know, there's always more to life. There's always things that you can do to improve your life. I think about this, like, if you think that you didn't have the best parents and you're not living the best life right now because you didn't have the best parents and that's where you're at in your life, then maybe the thing that you could do to change that feeling in your mind is have kids of your own and be the parent that you wanted for yourself. You know, I'll tell you what, when I have kids and they come up and they're playing sports, especially baseball, I am going to make them the player that I never was. So, you know, my whole point is everything is okay, and you can always make a positive out of a negative, and it all comes down to your attitude of the situation. And for some crazy reason today, I thought about a good friend of mine and was hoping I could talk to him, and he ended up calling me up, and we got to catch up on everything, and everything is still good, and we're both getting happier and healthier and climbing up the mountain, literally and figuratively. And then at the end of the day, the end of the conversation, it comes down to everything is all about your attitude and the way that you show how you're feeling about what's happening. You know, it's all about poise. It's all about poise. All right. I love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. I'm sure I'll see you again. It's Corey McEnroe Speaks. Peace out.